teams splitting the points. 1-1 your final score. What does it mean for the table? Well, Chelsea missing out on an opportunity to leapfrog Liverpool into second place. Chelsea then still third. The gap to Manchester City now 12 points. For more on this, we welcome into the show Shaka, Hislop, and Steve Nicol. But Craig, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on Chelsea's performance today?
Lackluster. Unsurprising. It's interesting, one of the few, if only, things that Thomas Tuchel could offer up was, in his post-match interview, was, we're tired.
That's what he said about Ziyech's celebration. That he was too tired to celebrate. I guess you're not buying it?
Absolute nonsense. I mean, how unhappy did he look to score? He's been awful recently. I mean, he should be celebrating. He even started when Thomas Tuchel named the team. But, you know, clearly they're lacking their two best wing-backs. They changed the shape tonight. But there's no zip, there's no pace, there's no dynamic, you know, running around and performance levels from this team. They've lost their identity. The whole front four, no matter who he puts in, are not playing well. And they flaff around in the middle of the park and around the box, looking for this perfect pass all the time. They need to get balls into the box. He's just lost his way, Thomas Tuchel. And the only thing he could offer up, he was that they were tired. Now, I would hasten to add, apart from Burley, who have had almost every game called off recently, every other team is tired too. That's really no excuse.
Stevie, I think what makes it more disappointing from a Chelsea standpoint is you were looking for a bounce-back performance after what we saw against Manchester City. Clearly, they didn't get that.
Yeah, well, Craig said they were lacklustre. There's definitely a lack of cohesion. But I'd like to go back to the being tired part. What a sorry excuse that is. Are you serious? I mean, Ziyech hasn't played that much this season. He can hardly be tired. Lukaku has had a spell where he's had a rest. It may have been an injury, but then he didn't play a couple of weeks ago either, so he's not been overplayed. Hudson-Odoi hasn't been overplayed. Mason Mount didn't play last week. And then you're bringing on Havertz, who hasn't played that much, and Timo Werner, who hasn't had that much time either. So where's this tiredness coming from? They had plenty of the ball and got it into the final third on enough occasions that you're pointing the finger at that lot. Every single one of those that I've just said, who shouldn't be tired, you're pointing the fingers at them. And that's what he should have been doing, instead of throwing all this "they're tired" nonsense in. My goodness. You've got a £100 million striker who thrives on balls into the box, but they don't put a ball in the box. So how about you look at yourself and figure your team out and mix it up? Because I'm not suggesting you just start flinging balls in the penalty area, because Brighton, of course, have got two centre-backs that are, what, 6'8" and 9, but you've got to mix it up. And they didn't mix it up, and that has to be down to the coach as far as I'm concerned, not being tired. Shaka, you agree this on Tuchel?
Yes, and I think it goes further than just the excuse that he offered. I mean, not just about balls coming into the box, but Lukaku has been at his best when he's played in counter-attacking teams, right? Whether we're talking Everton or Inter Milan, that's when he's at his best. But as you watch this game, I don't think Chelsea could be any slower. I don't think they could be any slower coming out of the back. I don't think they could pass the ball any slower coming out of midfield. So by the time they got the ball into the attacking third, there's 20 players within 25 yards of Brighton's goal, and just no space for Chelsea to operate in. No real creativity because Jorginho is sat deepest of the midfielders. There's no space for Lukaku, Hudson-Odoi to run into. The Ziyech goal just comes out of frustration. I think frustration because he's not been playing. When he has been playing, he's not been playing well. And then in the game today, he was camped so far away from the attacking third himself that he just decided to lash one. And somehow it sneaked in at the near post. We can have a little talk about Sanchez as far as that goes. But other than that, you're looking at a Chelsea team that are supposed to be threatening at the top of the table, that really are offering nothing against anybody who has any idea of a game plan themselves.
It's team selection as well, isn't it? I mean, I know they're missing players, but every team's missing players. Welcome to the fight for top 4.
I mean, so that's really the next question here, because you expressed that you had some concern. Is that concern growing now that they could, I mean, realistically miss out on the top 4? It is a ways to 5th.
I don't think they will, but that's not to say there won't be at some point some fight for the top 4. I think they should be better than the other teams that are fighting there. If you've watched Man United play recently, certainly Arsenal have got better. Tottenham, difficult to see. West Ham falling away a little bit. But anyway, it's not good, clearly. Going from the team to beat a couple of months ago, maybe just a little more, which they were, to nothing more than also-rans.
Why aren't they more dangerous?
But the one point I want to make, one of them is the team selection. Kovacic, again to Stevie's point, was a player who was actually out, injured. I think he might have had a COVID problem, but he was certainly injured. He came back in, scored that wonderful goal and was their best player against Liverpool, if memory serves me right. Then he was their best player, one of them certainly at Man City, in a poor performance, but he was going sniping around, trying to win the ball back and, you know, certainly better than the rest. And then he's on the bench. You know, he can't be that tired, can he? You put your best midfielder who gets on the front foot and passes the ball forward on the bench. Somebody needs to slip a little note under Thomas Tuchel's door and remind him that he's working for one of the most ruthless owners in world football. Yes, he has a Champions League in the bank, and they may well have one this year, who knows? They're in Carabao Cup final. FA Cup. However, this owner thrives on league titles and league title challenges. He doesn't thrive on being 20-odd points, potentially, behind league winners. That's not what drives him. And this is becoming a bit of a problem. I think he's got money in the bank, to be honest with you, but that money drains away quickly with this owner and with performances like that.
Speaking of team selection, he obviously picked Lukaku to start in this one. Stevie, we've been paying so much attention to Lukaku, the service to him. What can Chelsea do to get more service to him? What did you make of his performance against Brighton?
I think he looked lost. You know, generally when you have your side going forward, when you're coaching them, you have certain little patterns of play that you can go to whenever you're struggling. And they really don't seem to me to have a go-to. You know, Lukaku, on more occasions than not, is just basically standing, watching in the box, because he has no idea when it's coming in. You know, you wonder if they've got little focal points where if a ball's played a certain way, right, it has to be played in first. Like Jorginho, for example, used to play balls from the middle of the park without even looking in behind. Things like that, just little things like that that can change a game. It doesn't seem Chelsea have that. And it doesn't seem to me as though Lukaku knows whether, if it's Hudson-Odoi on one side or Ziyech on the other, or Pulisic, or basically anybody who's playing on a wide area for Chelsea, it doesn't seem to me that there's any connection or any idea of when the ball's coming in, if it's coming in, and if it is coming in, where does Lukaku want it? There seems to be absolutely nothing. And again, that comes down to coaching.
To the point about service to Lukaku, because this is something that Tuchel actually talked about on Monday, just before the match against Brighton. He had some kind of interesting comments when asked directly about Lukaku. He said, quote, "It's a team sport, not about 10 players serving one player. This is not Chelsea or football. Every player serves one team. This will never change." Shaka, did Chelsea or Tuchel, did you sense that they changed anything today to try to get Lukaku the ball? Because for me, it felt like, man, probably 10 or 15 minutes into the match before he really started to even get a touch.
Yeah, no, I don't think they did anything to play to Lukaku's strengths. And listen, a couple of weeks ago, when after the Lukaku interview came out with the Italian press, I was very critical of Tuchel and how he failed to defend Lukaku then. I thought what he said, and we read excerpts there, around defending Lukaku, who's become the face of Chelsea Football Club. I don't have a problem with that at all. But talking about that this is a team that lacked in the attacking sense, and not just because of Lukaku, and it's something that they have to work on. I didn't see that at all in the game today. I didn't feel that anything Chelsea had to offer going forward was around Lukaku's strengths, was to anybody's strengths going forward, in all honesty. And so it amazed me kind of going back to his post-game press conference and about being tired. You know, I find that a really strange excuse to offer, and we've said this time and time again. You offer a team an excuse to lose, they're going to take it. I really find that strange from Tuchel, when his focus needs to be on how he gets the best of the weapons that he has. Because he can call on Havertz, he can call on Werner, who offer something different. Use them later on in the game against Brighton. But just in terms of before they even came on, there was nothing that played to anybody's strengths, whether we're talking Lukaku, Ziyech, or Jorginho.
Do you know what it looks like to me? It looks like...
That's bad man management.
Go on, Stevie.
That's bad man management. You know, regardless of what you think of Lukaku, if you're Tuchel and you're asked that question, the answer is, we are going to try and do everything we can to get Lukaku the ball in dangerous areas so that we can score goals and he can score goals. That's the answer, and that shouldn't be difficult from a manager. You don't turn around and basically custard pie him and say, well, it's not about him, it's about the team and blah, blah. You don't, that's not what you do. That's terrible man management.
It sounds like a manager that doesn't want to change.
If he's that fragile that he's talking about things a couple of weeks ago, then surely you want to help. The only thing you can do is to try and make the thing better so that he scores goals, which benefits him and benefits the rest of the team as well. You don't go just knocking him down again. That's just poor man management.
Is somebody... have they bought a hugely expensive striker that has come as a surprise to Thomas Tuchel, the way that he plays and what his strengths and weaknesses are?
Yeah. It feels like that, doesn't it?
Is this all of a sudden hit him in the head and gone, oh, maybe he likes some balls into the box?
Do you think he's
I'm being facetious here? I mean, is that, did he not watch Inter Milan?
Is he just mishandling this situation, or is the shine kind of off Tuchel, the manager at this point, and maybe even the manager?
I think he's lost a bit of shine. The mask has slipped a little bit at the moment. The one thing I would say, going back to Lukaku, is, and some of this is down to himself, because when you give interviews, you leave yourself open, particularly in the manner in which he did. But he looks to me in games when he's getting little service. I think he had one real opportunity in the second half, but it was half a chance, and the keeper came out and blocked it from an angle. But he looks to me as every time a header goes wide, or there's a ball played too long, or it's not played into the box, and Chelsea don't get the result, when the camera pans to him, he looks like a man that knows the questions are going to be about him. And the manager has done him no favours off the back of the weekend's poor performance and result at Man City by mentioning him by name, and then tried to backtrack. So the whole thing's a bit of a mess at the moment, stemming from the interview, stemming from, you know, the way I think it was dealt with. And now, on top of that, pretty much the whole team are not playing particularly well, given the fact that there is 2 or 3 of them out of contract as well at the end of the year. It's a difficult situation. It's not dissimilar to Frank Lampard in a sense. Things at this club turn very quickly.
Yeah.
For the
managers especially, yeah.
It turns quickly for the worse at Chelsea. It's amazing that, but it's happening again. Now, as I said earlier, I don't know what the boys think, but he's got enough in the bank at the moment via the Champions League win and others, but at Chelsea, it turns... When it hits the iceberg, the water comes on fast, put it that way. And at the moment, he's going to have to solve that, because if bang average teams get in the top 4 in front of them, he's in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're 9 points to 5th.
I don't expect them to not get in the top 4, but all I'm saying is, if they're overhauled for that, then he's getting a taxi.
We'll leave it there for now as the pressure mounts on Thomas Tuchel at Chelsea. Plenty more on this over on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe. We are now over 1.2 million. Don't miss a single bit of bonus material from the show.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.